everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. So today's video, full face of Maybelline, kind of a one brand tutorial so to speak, but it's nothing new from Maybelline. I actually did a video like this about a year ago, but I realized I'm wanting to feature all different products in this one from that time. So if you're a Maybelline fan, I think you're going to enjoy this. And also what really prompted this was over the weekend as I was going through and kind of decluttering a little bit, I come across my Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse. And I feel like in this era of TikTok where we're seeing all these fun little like quick videos come out, this is always the thing that gets ragged on the most, like the thing that gets made fun of the most, like nobody knew how to wear it, and I get that. But I also get people not maybe knowing correctly how to wear a lot of different things makeup wise, and this formula actually is pretty good, pretty long wearing, and it's not a total mystery to work with. And I put out my own TikTok kind of sticking up for this and saying that, you know, if it had Charlotte Tilbury's name on it, I bet people would be snatching it up. So we're going to use this today. This is going to be the basis for the look along with a number of other possibly forgotten Maybelline products. So Dream Matte Mousse, this is by no means my original. I've purchased this fairly recently within the last couple years or so. When you get a brand new one, it will be moist, okay? It will be very smooth and creamy. Mine is still smooth and creamy, but a little bit drier than when I first got it. But I've already got my face all prepped with moisturizer. I've got my sunscreen on. I'm gonna go into it. Oh, what's my shade, by the way? It is Nude Light 4. So I get some on my finger, and what I'm gonna do is kind of like semi-work it into my skin, okay? Using the heat of my hand. I like the approach of using your hands with this, which is actually probably what many of us would have done in the past with this product, but you can get even more of a blend with it when you are willing to go back in with your beauty blender as well. So that's what we're going to do to ultimately get it blended in. But I'm just picking some up on my finger, just a little random amount, and then using the heat of my hand to kind of work it down in, okay? Whenever I use this, I feel like I'm always pleased with the overall finish on my skin, the staying power of the makeup. Like, it's actually a really pretty looking foundation, and frankly, I think a more advanced, more interesting, more unique formula than a lot of things that are out there these days. I'm going to add a little more over here. Remember, I'm just semi-blending it at this point, and then I'm going to take my beauty blender and I'm just going to dab over everything I've just done there. And overall, I would call this a medium coverage but buildable foundation. I wouldn't want to build it too much though, because it is matte, and it, like anything built too much, matte finish wise, you know, it could look heavy. But what I can see in my skin right now is a lot more evenness, and maybe I will build in like a couple little areas just so you can see. But I have zero complaints about this, guys. So I get a little more on my finger, and let's say we want to work with this kind of under eye area just a bit more. So I'm just going to patch it on, blend it in with my finger, and then just bring in the beauty blender to finish the job. So you definitely can add a lot of extra coverage, but just be sparing with the amount you're putting on and build a little at a time and make sure it's not like overwhelming your face, you know? So I'm totally pleased with my complexion right now. Skin looks at about a medium coverage, like I said. The interesting thing is that some of the absolute stars of the Dream Matte Mousse line were, in my opinion, the concealer. That was heartbreaking when that got discontinued because it was even creamier than this stuff, and also the blushes. But like I said, you get a brand new Dream Matte Mousse, it will be creamy. It will have more moisture in it. It's just over time it's going to lose a little bit of that, but even with this one that has lost some, I still find it easy to work into the skin. And the reason why I know that is because I wanted to test yet another shade of this, so I got the light beige, which is medium 0, and it is kind of dark for me, but I felt it, and it's just absolutely whipped creamy wonderfulness. So things do happen to this foundation as it gets older, but as you can see, even my older one can be very easily worked with and handled. And another tip I would say is well moisturized skin underneath, or use a hydrating primer or something that's going to kind of balance things a little bit because it is matte. Okay, then I'm going to use my Maybelline Age Rewind Brightener. That's going to be my concealer today. And I always love what this does for the under eye area. You know, if I pull it out and I haven't used it in a while, it's one of those pleasant surprise kind of products. The texture is very thin and light, and I'm just going to use it everywhere I want to brighten. It never looks heavy. It has a surprising amount of coverage, and I don't think I'm even going to layer up another concealer with this. I feel like the Dream Matte Mousse gave us some pretty nice coverage, just doing its part foundation wise, so This is going to be the only concealer I need today on top. But look at that extra level of brightness here. I hope you guys had a pleasant Father's Day yesterday. We had a really fun time. We had Mom and Dad over. Bub, I told him he didn't have to, you know, do anything cooking wise. Like, I'll handle it. But he truly cooks because he enjoys it. And so he made some ribs on the smoker. They turned out great. Got a couple sides together and just had kind of an easy, low-key barbecue. My concealer is all blended in. You know, it's Monday morning, but I'm feeling awake now, just seeing myself brightened up a little bit. For powder, I'm just going to use my good old Maybelline Fit Me. This is a tried and true product. I feel like I reach for my Wet n Wild a little more often these days, but honestly, it's very similar to this stuff. And the Fit Me does come in a little bit broader range of shades, but I always use the fair, and I'm not needing a lot of powder today, but I am just wanting to lightly set the under eye and my T-zone, just because I know it's summer, it's hot, and oh my goodness, Cheer Live is this weekend. 1 week from Cheer Live. That's, you know, the Netflix show Cheer. The athletes, plus many other amazing college cheerleaders from across the country going on tour. I'm really excited to see how they do it, how they fill the time, considering, like, you know, they're used to putting on a routine that's like 2 minutes long and being judged on it, and now there's like this whole production and everything. It's gonna be me and Bub and the girls. I guess this was, when did he give me this? Did he get me tickets at Valentine's Day or something? It seemed like a really long time ago, and now it's finally getting closer and we're staying overnight. It's gonna be so much fun. So just setting T-zone and under eye with that powder looks great. Now you guys, this is a recent repurchase of an older product. I totally forgot they're still making this. This is the Master Contour Kit, and this is the medium to deep option. I just got that because I kind of remembered having this in the past and thinking maybe I wanted a little more intensity, so this is what we're going to use today. And we're just going to refresh our memory and see how good it really is. So number one, the contour shade. Let's see if it's deep enough. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's deep enough. Gonna need to blend. But yeah, they're still selling it at Walmart, but I feel like it was forever ago that this was originally launched. I'm seeing maybe a little satin finish in this, just because going across my forehead now, like I can see just a little bit of sheen, but there's not much in this bronzer. I've gotten so little color on my skin so far this summer because other than just like going out and taking walks, haven't been outside very much. We haven't been using our pool because our pool only just now got opened, because we've always, I'm not talking bad about anybody here, but the person who always handled our pool stuff is always very, very busy. I think he does construction and other things, and so it's always kind of a matter of just, you know, whenever he can get out here, it's fine. And it truly is fine. It's not a big deal. But the problem here now is he started the other day getting it opened up and then realized there was a problem with the motor on our pump, and so that's going to now set us back even further on actually getting to use the pool and getting the water cleared up and all that stuff. So yeah, we're a little set back on using the old pool this summer. But we are so grateful whenever he comes out, because like I think he was involved in putting in the pool in this house, so he's got knowledge about it that's good to have, and we're very thankful for his expertise always. Honestly, the contour shade did pretty well. Again, this is the medium to deep option, and I feel like it's satisfying enough. Like it was able to truly contour my cheeks and give me some depth up around the hairline and just kind of give me a little sunnier look overall. Then we're going to try this blush, which for a medium to deep palette, this blush is seeming pretty light looking to me, but let's see. Okay, she shows actually a little more depth on the skin than it appears to have in the pan. That's really pretty. Yeah, it feels like the texture of like those Fit Me blushes, you know, which are good. I will say I'm being a little heavy-handed with the blush, more so than I might usually be, just in terms of like really picking it up on my brush quite a bit, but it ends up translating to the cheeks just fine. And then we're gonna go to our little highlight shade. I'm using my Real Techniques setting brush, and we'll just swoop that down on this zone. Wow, what a soft highlight. Really pretty, actually. Very nice highlight. Not too thick. Just adding a little glow to the surface of the skin, which frankly you can always use whenever you've got a matte foundation on. And you know, our whole base to this point was pretty matte. We had a concealer that wasn't overly dewy. Then we go over that with powder. I'm going to put a little bit of this on the Cupid's bow. Oh, it feels really smooth too. Really, guys? I'm not upset with that palette at all. I'm going to use some setting spray, and I don't have a Maybelline one, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my CoverGirl Priming Glow Mist, which is really my favorite right now. And sometimes I just like stamp over that with my beauty blender. Everything's really looking one with the skin now. Oh yeah, that troublesome Dream Matte mousse. Not at all. Not at all a problem. Gang, I went really old school for the brows. So old school that this is a product I remember my mom using in her eyebrows. It's the Expert Wear pencils. They come in a duo of 2 red pencils. I got the dark brown. I swatched this out on my hand and it seemed like a deep, very warm brown. If I didn't already have a pretty substantial brow, I think that would show a lot. But instead it's probably just going to show a little bit because my brows are already kind of thick as is. But like I can totally see that color. Why did they make these so warm? What shade was my mom using? She's always had lighter hair, so maybe she was able to find something that worked. And then look what I got, the Great Lash Clear for my brow gel. Yes. Y'all knew I wouldn't be pulling in actual Great Lash for my lashes, but I will do this. Oh, that's very, very wet feeling. Not Maybelline's best brow. Not the best. I thought maybe when I chose the shade dark brown, it'd work. I'm not crazy. Skin's still looking great though. I can't handle this. Why does it look actually red? I'm scared to go in here because here's where it can really show, you know, that inner part where it's more light and where I do a little more filling. It has a real crayon smell, like a Crayola crayon. Who does this work for currently? Whoever's wearing this shade has to have some red in their hair, like an auburn kind of. Dark auburn is what this is turning out to be. It's making a little more sense on this side. Maybe the gel sort of darkens the whole look of the brow a bit more. You know, just going over it with something. Oh my God, it's so wet. My brow is completely soaked by the gel. What in the world have I gotten myself into here? We're almost reaching one of those I don't know how I'm going to recover from this moments. And it's not setting. It's still really wet over here. Brows are normally when we can relax, we can talk about life. I'm going to have to fully blot them. I'm going to now have to brush them a little bit and hope that as time goes on here that they manage to set now with just a very small amount of remaining gel. It's a stress brow. On that note, I'm going to use some Milani eyeshadow primer. Does Maybelline have an eye primer? Am I completely forgetting about something? I don't think they have one. They have their little color tattoo things, maybe a few shades of that still, right? That would have been a fun one to pull into this video, but instead I chose a quad that I found in my own collection, Autumn Coppers. Just a little quad, a little expert wear quad. No, not the new City palette stuff, not the newer palettes, this old girl. So I'm going to use Autumn Coppers and just see what we can do. This is one of those where every part of it is labeled, like base, lid, crease, and liner. So I'm going to use crease, which just looks like a taupey gray, sort of. See what crease does. There was a time when Makeup by Tiffany D was hyping up several different quads or trios from Maybelline. I remember because she's the reason why I bought them. Okay, that's giving me a little something. It's barely there. I mean, this is not going to be Maybelline's strongest formula. The City Mini palettes feel amazing. The quality in their Nudes of New York palette is fantastic. This is going to be probably a little bit drier stuff as a whole. I'm going to use the liner shade with this brush. Yeah, and that comes in just looking dark. It doesn't really look burgundy necessarily, at least not sheared out. Blend, blend, blend. It's nothing I can't work with. It just definitely, this is an area where Maybelline has really improved over time. You know, these formulas, they've definitely stepped it up with some of the newer things they've come out with. So I'm just kind of letting you know that. I'm going to do a little bit of this base shade and just come up above. Okay, fine. I'm really excited to do this week is get into some of my colorful palettes that I wanted to challenge myself with. Oh, okay, that's laying down pretty well with a little sponge tip. Okay. Let the pleasant surprises begin. Right there. Yeah, no problem with the sponge tip. Still not looking especially burgundy. Still not going anywhere near a copper vibe, honestly. And then you can just blend a little more now that we've added a bit more darkness. And I guess the last shade we'll try working with here is the one called Lid. So I'm using the back side of that applicator. And Lid has a little shimmer. It's by no means a copper, but it might be like the softest ever rose gold kind of shade. Remember when Maybelline came out with the nudes palette and like blush nudes and all those different ones? This is like that generation of formula. And then they kind of leveled up with their City Mini palettes and like Nudes of New York and all that. Look at that pretty, very soft glow. Like even if you like to stay away from shimmer, that level of shimmer is really pretty. So that's gonna pretty much be my eye today. Simple, yes, but you know, how many directions are you gonna go with this? I got a new but old eyeliner. It's the Unstoppable. I once upon a time used some eyeliners from this range. It's just like their version of a waterproof retractable liner. Been around a long time, and this is the shade Espresso, so it's a very dark brown. Now this is soft right now. This is not a problem at all to put on. Not to say it couldn't be very dry, you know, after some weeks of use, but it's going over this shadow really well. And I applied some shadow kind of thick here. That was not a struggle. And the packaging actually said waterproof on this one. Not that everything that says waterproof is, but it seems legit. It's just so interesting to play with these brands and their different ranges of products. And you know, I'm really digging deep for some of the older things I can think of here. But then there's like other generations of stuff, which in the last video I did a year ago, I did more of the Fit Me stuff. I actually used some Fit Me things real recently here too with their tinted moisturizer, and then I brought in older Fit Me stuff. But that liner is just not an issue at all. It's such a dark brown, I would almost mistake it for a black. I think I'm going to use a little bit of it down here and try to smudge it. It has a really tight cap, very, very tight, which bodes well for keeping the texture of that nice and soft and creamy. So now I'm just going to smudge some of my deepest eyeshadow color, the shade that was actually called Liner. Just get a little bit of that under here. Still soft, but just a little something. And for mascara, I already told you earlier, I did not go for Great Lash. We know that's iconic and not really in the best way in my opinion, but it's been around a long time, but I went for a different one that has been around a while. So did I even show you this one really close up so you could see those finishes? There's even just a bit of a fine sparkle down here in this one. This is a shimmer. And then these other two are kind of like satins actually. So I got the Rocket Volume Express. I had used this before. I'm sure I reviewed it back when it was a newer product years ago on my channel. And there are some people who really still love and swear by this, but I'm gonna try to work it into this look. I didn't just purchase this. I've actually had this for, I want to say a month or so, maybe more. The brush has a really super short bristles and it seems like it comes out of the tube really cleaned off. It honestly seems like Maybelline's answer to CoverGirl Lash Blast. You know, it's exactly like Lash Blast comb, which, wow, I haven't used a Lash Blast mascara in a while. Orange tube, that stuff was hot for a time. This is doing pretty amazing about not getting any clumps of mascara, no like globs on my lashes, and also it's not sticking my lashes together. And it doesn't seem like it was super heavy on my lashes, like it's not weighing down and dropping the curl immediately. Thing is, it takes a little longer to build up these mascaras that come off out of your tube so clean. I feel like this is the thing people don't really talk about a whole lot, but when the brush is super cleaned off, that's going to mean more work and more swipes and more building. When the brush comes out with some stuff on it, it's going to kind of throw itself onto the lash a little quicker, and you know, you do run the risk of some clumps, but it'll be a quicker process. Usually. See what we're working with here? Lashes look really like defined, I guess I'd say. I'm gonna give it a rest over here and move on to the other eye. So yeah, my thing with Dream Matte Mousse is just that I understand that it was maybe a misunderstood product in its time and people didn't know a lot about makeup application. They were slapping it on thick and maybe it wasn't looking good. Maybe there was no moisturizer underneath. I don't know. Maybe people were picking the wrong shade, which that could happen with anything. But the way it's spoken about these days, it makes people feel like, oh, you'd never want to try that again. Well, if you tried it, and you just, like I said, get it semi-worked into the skin and then blend it in with a damp sponge. It looks really good. It looks just as good, if not better, than any other matte foundation. And the formula is actually really nice. Maybelline would so rock my world though if they brought back the Dream Matte Mousse Concealer, Blush, and for that matter also the Dream Bouncy Blushes. I want it all back because, like I said, the concealer and blushes were actually the strength of that line. Wow, this seems to dry down maybe a little faster than some other Maybelline mascaras traditionally do, because I'm hitting this eye now and it seems like it's already dried. Like it's kind of telling me, nope, not accepting more product. So don't wait too long to build this one. Truly, I'm not mad at that mascara. I think it did a pretty darn good job. And I'm going to put some Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water down here because I don't want smudging. And they're saying it's going to be even hotter this week than last week around here. What the heck? And then for my lips, you guys, I pulled out a Color Sensational lipstick. This is one of the matte lipsticks in the shade Lust for Blush. Do you remember that shade name from when they had the color Whispers, which was like their tinted balm, kind of like Maybelline's answer to the Revlon lip butters, you know? There was a shade called Lust for Blush and lots of people liked it, but this is that shade in a matte lipstick. This lipstick, pretty smooth and creamy. You know, a little dry feeling as you would expect from matte lipsticks. It's odd using something matte from Maybelline that's not my matte crayons. So this won't have that kind of staying power, but for a lipstick, that's pretty. Nice, cool, medium pink. I actually kind of like it. You know, the face needed some life. It needed something interesting. Questions, comments, concerns, finished look? The highlight of the look, obviously the brows. In my opinion, my favorite parts of this look, probably the foundation and the concealer. I actually thought this delivered quite well. The pigment on everything turned out to be good and even better than expected. And another little surprise was probably the Unstoppable liner. So a top 4 from the look would be probably those things. The worst things, like this brow pencil is just flat out red undertone. This gel wants to give off a lot of gel. I could probably use it for some flyaways and maybe have a little better luck with it, but it's just a very wet gel. You get too much on and I think you'll be waiting forever for that to set. Now I do like the lipstick, don't get me wrong. I just know that that's an area where I feel like the brand has really advanced. You know, Color Sensational lipsticks, whatever type you pick, it's a good solid lipstick. I just feel like for a matte thing, they really stepped it up when they put out the matting crayons. Another area where they've totally improved and you can do better with newer things, the eyeshadows. This powder is great. I should have mentioned that. The Fit Me Loose powder, you can't go wrong with that. So guys, you know I love doing stuff like this, these kind of throwback type videos. Let me know if there's another brand where you feel like there are enough products that are older sort of, or have been around the block a while, have just been on the market for quite a long time, and you'd like to see them sort of tested in the context of how they compare to newer makeup. Let me know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Grab out your Dream Matte Mousse, and if it's really, really dry and flaky, get a new one. Mine was only becoming a little bit dry, so I could still pretty easily work with it. But thank you guys again, and I will see you soon. I love you. Bye.